And is it your cook who prepares these pills? Asked Beauchamp. Oh, no, monsieur, replied Monte Cristo. I do not thus betray my enjoyments to the vulgar. I am a tolerable chemist, and prepare my pills myself. This is a magnificent emerald, and the largest I have ever seen, said Chateau Renaud, although my mother has some remarkable family jewels. I had 3 similar ones, returned Monte Cristo. I gave one to the Sultan, who mounted it in his saber, another to our Holy Father the Pope, who had it set in his tiara, opposite to one nearly as large, though not so fine, given by the Emperor Napoleon to his predecessor, Pius VII. I kept the 3rd for myself, and I had it hollowed out, which reduced its value, but rendered it more commodious for the purpose I intended. Everyone looked at Monte Cristo with astonishment. He spoke with so much simplicity that it was evident that he spoke the truth, or that he was mad. However, the sight of the emerald made them naturally inclined to the former belief. And what did these 2 sovereigns give you in exchange for these magnificent presents? Asked Debray. The Sultan, the liberty of a woman, replied the Count. The Pope, the life of a man, so that once in my life I have been as powerful as if heaven had brought me into the world on the steps of a throne. And it was Peppino you saved, was it not? Cried Morcerf. It was for him that you obtained the pardon. Perhaps, returned the Count, smiling. My dear Count, you have no idea what pleasure it gives me to hear you speak thus, said Morcerf. I had announced you beforehand to my friends as an enchanter of the Arabian Nights, a wizard of the Middle Ages. But the Parisians are so subtle in paradoxes that they mistake for caprices of the imagination the most incontestable truths, when these truths do not form a part of their daily existence. For example, here is Debray, who reads, and Beauchamp, who prints. Every day, a member of the Jockey Club has been stopped and robbed on the boulevard. 4 persons have been assassinated in the Rue Saint-Denis or in the Faubourg Saint-Germain. 10, 15, or 20 thieves have been arrested in a café on the Boulevard du Temple or in the Turn des Julians. And yet these same men deny the existence of bandits in the Maremma, the Campagna di Romana, or the Pontine Marshes. Tell them yourself that I was taken by bandits, and that without your generous intercession, I should now have been sleeping in the catacombs of Saint Sebastian, instead of receiving them in my humble abode in the Rue du Helder. All right, Dante is continuing his crusade for subtly flaunting his wealth in front of these men. Here's a question for us all. Are we to assume that Dante knows everything with his wealth and what we've seen him access? Like, he made this appointment with Albert, right, to be introduced into Parisian society. Do you think at the time or in the 3 months that have elapsed since he made that appointment that he knew that all these men would be at this breakfast with him? Or is he the type that is prepared for any scenario? I mean, we have no real indication as to what Dante plans for Albert or Fernand or Mercedes by arriving on their property. We can only assume the worst. But I'm speaking more broadly in terms of, as readers, where do you feel like Dante's powers lie now? I'm currently reading Sherlock Holmes for the first time ever, and just finished a study in Scarlet, about to finish The Sign of the Four. And I find it interesting. It's like, where does someone being an exceptional person stop and someone having supernatural abilities begins? Dante, as a character, kind of flirts in that Sherlock Holmes area. Also, I find it interesting that there's a moment in A Study in Scarlet when, I won't spoil that story if you haven't read it, but there's this backstory of the person who committed the murder. And at one point, being on the run and seeking revenge, says that his plan was to lie low, accumulate wealth, and then exact his revenge, kind of the way that Monte Cristo did. So I'm wondering if Monte Cristo had impact even on Doyle. the reason I ask this question about Dante is like it kind of changes maybe a little bit our interpretation of what's going on here. I mean, is he arriving at this appointment for breakfast with the intention of wowing all of these men for a purpose? We have, as Albert says at the end here, Debray, who is a person that can influence, if not involved in politics. We have Beauchamp, who is a journalist, a writer who prints things. I mean, those are avenues that if you are seeking power, if you're seeking manipulation, if you're someone who schemes long-term plans, you might want to have in your influence. Or is this just a bit of luck that has flown Dante's way? Or is it just completely happenstance and he, as I said, kind of can prepare and, go into any situation ready to roll with it? Is he taking improv classes between these chapters where we can't? Is that where he flies off to? Yeah, I gotta go to Italy. Yeah, definitely not Chicago to go to my Second City classes. But for the most part, this is just trying to establish a mythology beyond reputation for Dante amongst these men, whether he planned it or not. So let us continue here with a little bit more of chapter 40 and see what they will have for breakfast. You know what? You can't overlook just a hearty bowl of cereal sometimes. I've been really into frosted shredded wheat lately. And you know what? One bowl of that fills my tummy. I don't need a whole big old meal sometimes. Just like I'm on the go, I need a quick lunch, pour myself a bowl of that, I'm good to go. Not so much into the sugary cereals that I was as a kid that ballooned me to my highest weight. But I still like a good frost on my shredded wheat. In fact, I might go get some right now. In fact, I will. Join me here tomorrow with a little bit more. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.